Breaking news. A major update just dropped from the Las Vegas Raiders camp and it's shaking things up. From surprise absences to key returns on the defensive line, something serious is brewing in Vegas. If you care about this team's future, or just love raw, behind-the-scenes football action, stay locked in. The latest reports out of minicamp might just change how you see the Raiders this season. But before we get into the latest headlines, make sure you subscribe to the channel, hit that like button, and don't forget to press the bell icon so you never miss breaking news like this. Let's dive in. The Las Vegas Raiders have kicked off mandatory minicamp, and the vibes around the team? Locked in, focused, all business. There are no contract holdouts, no drama, and no distractions. Every key player, minus one, is present and putting in the work. This isn't just a team showing up. This is a team buying in. But let's address the big story first. Christian Wilkins. The veteran defensive lineman expected to be a major anchor this season was nowhere to be seen. According to multiple camp reports, Wilkins wasn't on the field and may not even have been inside the building. Now, this could just be reporters missing him, or it could be related to his lingering foot issue. But either way, it's raising eyebrows. No official word yet, but fans are watching closely. Now let's flip the script to some positive news. Adam Butler is back, and he looks sharp. After missing the last 2 open practices, Butler returned to the field today, and the man looks fitter, leaner, and more explosive than last season. You can see it in the clips surfacing from camp. Butler's got a different energy. He's moving with purpose, and the off-season work he's put in is showing. Last season, he played like a top-tier defensive tackle. Now, he's hungry to prove it wasn't a fluke, and if he keeps this up, the Raiders' D-line could quietly become one of the most underrated units in the league. The energy at Raiders camp is undeniable, and it's not just about the big names. It's what's happening in the trenches, on the offensive line, that's turning heads. During recent OTA drills, the Raiders' O-line showed serious chemistry. You can see it in their movement, in the way they're handling zone blocking schemes, and in how well they're working as a unit. One standout moment, number 65, showing textbook reach blocking technique. The defender tried to control the edge, but number 65 smartly sealed him outside, turning his body just enough to create a running lane inside. That's the kind of subtle move that doesn't show up on stat sheets but makes or breaks a running play. On another rep, number 78, likely Don Wagner displayed solid awareness. When the defender tried to shoot inside, Wagner didn't panic. He shifted, got his body in the right spot, and sealed the lane beautifully. That kind of instinct under pressure is what coaches love in young linemen. What's becoming clear is that the Raiders are dialing in on zone run concepts, a system that rewards athletic, disciplined blockers. These linemen aren't just holding the line. They're creating options, giving the running backs room to read, react, and cut inside when the outside is sealed. This kind of progress in June is a great sign. It means the unit is not just learning assignments. They're mastering techniques, and it's only going to get sharper as camp continues. The battle in the trenches continues, and the Raiders' offensive line isn't just going through the motions. They're executing with precision. One of the most important things to watch in these zone blocking schemes is how linemen react to defenders who commit to a specific gap. When a defender chooses the outside, the offensive lineman's job is clear. Drive him wide and open the lane inside. If the defender crashes inside, the lineman flips it, seals him off, and gives the back a cutback lane to the outside. That's exactly what we're seeing from Dalton Wagner. On one rep, he does an excellent job adjusting to a defender trying to slip inside. Wagner mirrors the move, locks in, and drives the defender inward, giving the back room to bounce the run outside. That kind of flexibility is key, especially in outside zone concepts, which depend on smart, reactive blocking. Then there's Jackson Powers Johnson, another young name to watch. On his reps, he's showing quickness off the snap and solid technique. In one drill, the defender slants across his face and Jackson doesn't flinch. He stays balanced, hooks the defender, and finishes the block. It may seem like simple stuff, but these are the reps that earn trust in the NFL. Now, here's where things get really interesting. Caleb Rogers. In today's session, Rogers lined up at right guard, a small detail but a big clue. That tells us the Raiders are testing combinations on the interior line. The left guard spot remains a fight between Dylan Parham and Jordan Meredith, but with Rogers stepping in on the right, coaches are clearly watching him closely. Reports have already mentioned Rogers taking first-team snaps during earlier practices. If that continues, don't be surprised if he becomes a real contender to lock down a starting role, especially if he can stay consistent in zone-blocking situations. For a unit that's often overlooked, the Raiders' offensive line is developing quietly and effectively. And with competition heating up, it's clear that no job is being handed out. It's being earned. Rising stars, Raiders rookies making big noise at camp. At Raiders camp, development is the story, and young talent is rising faster than expected. Starting with the trenches, coaches are hands-on, guiding linemen like Caleb Rogers on gap control, leverage, and how to stay disciplined during run fits. It's a small glimpse into how seriously this staff is working to sharpen the fundamentals. Every detail matters. Even something as simple as how a player responds to a coach's direction in a drill. Now let's talk skill players. Ashton Jeanty, the rookie running back, is catching attention, and not just with the ball in his hands. In pass protection drills, Jeanty showed real promise. He stepped into contact with purpose, keeping his balance and using his hands correctly, not relying on his shoulder or helmet, which often leads to missed blocks. It's a subtle but important trait, especially for a young back trying to earn reps on third downs. Switching over to the wide receiver group, Jack Beck ran clean routes in red zone work, looking comfortable in traffic and quick in and out of breaks. The chemistry is still building, but his movement shows why the Raiders took a shot on him. But the name everyone's starting to talk about? Dante Thornton. He's tall. He's explosive. And in tight red zone coverage, he's making plays that turn heads. During a recent team period, Thornton hauled in a contested touchdown from Geno Smith, beating a veteran defensive back to the spot. That kind of success, especially in close quarters, is exactly what coaches want from a big-bodied receiver. Even more impressive? Thornton has been doing this consistently. Rookie minicamp, OTAS, and now in full team sessions, he's producing again and again. It's one thing to flash once, it's another to stack good days, and that's exactly what Thornton is doing. If this keeps up, it won't be long before we see him getting real chances in preseason, and possibly even lining up with the starters when the games start to count. The rookie wideout who's stealing the show in Vegas. Training camp buzz always brings breakout stories, and for the Raiders, Dante Thornton is stealing the spotlight. Yes, it's early, and yes, no one's wearing pads yet. But even so, Thornton's performance is impossible to ignore. He's not just making routine plays, he's making them with the first-team offense against the top defensive unit. While others are still finding their footing, he's already catching touchdowns from Geno Smith during red zone periods, and doing it in tight coverage. What separates him isn't just the production. It's who he's doing it against, and who he's doing it with. While some young receivers are still working in second-team rotations, Thornton has already climbed into first-team reps, and that shift speaks volumes. This is the stage where coaches want to see who can rise when the pressure kicks in. And so far, Thornton looks like a player who belongs. Now, it's too soon to crown anyone. But let's ask the real question. What if this kid is better than we thought? What if, in a year or two, Thornton becomes the go-to weapon for the Raiders? Maybe not Justin Jefferson level, maybe not Jamar Chase, but even if he becomes a top 20 receiver, like a Puka Nacua-type contributor, that would completely reshape the Raiders' offense. He has the speed, the size, the explosiveness. And despite questions about his college route tree, he's showing he can win in multiple ways, not just on deep shots but in tight spaces, under pressure and in sync with the starting quarterback, It's early, but if this trajectory holds, Dante Thornton might just be the Raiders' breakout star in the making. Dante Thornton is rising, and Colton Miller isn't going anywhere. Every offseason has its breakout candidate, but this time it's not hype. Dante Thornton is proving it on the field. Forget that it's only minicamp. Forget that the pads aren't on yet. Thornton is showing up in ways that matter, like hauling in touchdowns while being double covered. One of those grabs came from Geno Smith, perfectly placed, with not one but two defenders smothering him. And yet, Thornton still came down with the score. Multiple Raiders insiders have echoed the same thing. Thornton has been the most impressive rookie so far. Not one of the. And it's not just the stats or the flashes. It's the consistency, the body control, the ability to stand out among NFL-caliber athletes day in and day out. And while it's still early, there's a feeling. This one's different. It's not the usual off-season fluff. There's substance behind the praise, and Raider Nation is starting to feel it. Meanwhile, on the opposite end of the experience spectrum, one of the Raiders' most reliable pillars is making his loyalty crystal clear. Colton Miller, the Rock at left tackle, made it known during his recent press conference he wants to be a Raider for life. No hesitation, no contract games, just commitment. It's a massive statement, not just because Miller is entering the final year of his deal, but because of what he's become. From draft day doubts to one of the NFL's top tackles, his journey has been pure Raider grit. He was doubted early, criticized harshly, and then he quietly turned into a cornerstone. Now he wants to stay. And if you're building something special, like this Raiders team is clearly trying to do, you keep your cornerstones. So here we are, a young star rising fast in Thornton, a veteran anchor in Miller choosing loyalty over leverage. Two very different stories, one shared theme. The Raiders are building something strong, and they're doing it the right way. The Raiders must lock in Colton Miller, and Jakorian Bennett's toughness can't be overlooked. Let's get this straight. Colton Miller wants to retire a Raider, and in today's NFL, that kind of loyalty is rare. He didn't push for a record-breaking extension. He didn't hold out or make noise. In fact, he's been playing on a deal that doesn't even put him among the top 15 highest-paid tackles, despite clearly being one of the league's best at the position. And now, heading into the final year of his contract, the message is loud and clear: keep me in silver and black. The Raiders shouldn't hesitate. Extend him. Protect your quarterback. Build your identity in the trenches, because if this team wants to get the most out of Geno Smith, or any QB for that matter, it starts up front. We've seen it before. Geno was far better in Seattle behind a sturdy offensive line. When that group fell apart, so did the production. Yes, the Raiders have promising young tackles like DJ Glaze and Charles Turner. But let's not kid ourselves. Potential isn't protection. Until those guys prove it under pressure, you need someone who's already walked through fire and come out stronger. Colton Miller is that guy. He's been tested. He's been doubted. And he's turned into the quiet force that holds this offensive line together. This isn't just about loyalty. It's smart football. Lock him in for the next 4 years. Don't let your most dependable lineman become a question mark. And while we're talking about toughness, Jakorian Bennett deserves serious respect. Most fans didn't even realize it, but last year, before ultimately shutting things down, Bennett played through a torn labrum. That's not just pain. That's a serious shoulder injury that limits mobility, tackling, and everything that makes a cornerback effective. He didn't complain. He didn't make excuses. He just suited up and went to work until surgery finally became unavoidable. That's the kind of grit this team is being built on. So, while all eyes are on newcomers and big names, remember the veterans and fighters already in the locker room. Miller is the anchor. Bennett is the battler. And both are reminders that the Raiders are more than a roster. They're a brotherhood. Jakorian Bennett's grit and Jeremy Chinn's versatility could reshape the Raiders' defense. Imagine playing a full NFL season with your shoulder popping out of place. 5 or 6 times. That's what Jakorian Bennett went through last year, and he never made excuses. Bennett recently revealed that he's been battling shoulder issues since college. He never had 2 fully healthy shoulders even as he entered the pros. Eventually, he had to face the truth. The pain wasn't going away. So, he went under the knife, just like Colton Miller once did. Miller's story is a blueprint here. After shoulder surgery, he struggled early but bounced back strong, finishing the season like one of the best in the league. If Bennett follows a similar path, the Raiders might be looking at a major upgrade in their secondary. Think about what a healthy Bennett means for this defense. Press coverage, aggressive tackles, swatting down passes. All of that depends on arm strength and shoulder mobility. You can't do any of that if you're in constant pain. Right now, he's working with the second-team defense, but don't be surprised if he makes a leap in training camp. A healthy Jakorian Bennett could easily push for a starting job. And with his physical gifts and instincts, he has the tools to become a Pro Bowl-caliber corner. But Bennett isn't the only wild card in this secondary. Jeremy Chinn is a chess piece, and Patrick Graham just found his queen. At OTAs and minicamp, Chinn has been impossible to miss. One snap, he's a deep safety. The next, he's crashing the box. Then he lines up in the slot, covers a tight end, or even comes off the edge like a blitzing linebacker. This isn't just experimentation. This is design. The Raiders clearly see Chinn as a movable weapon, a guy who forces quarterbacks to hesitate, a guy who makes offensive coordinators second-guess every formation. And in a league that's becoming more positionless every year, Chinn's hybrid skill set could become the X factor for this defense. Whether he's flying downhill in run support or disguising coverage on the back end, he adds a layer of unpredictability this team desperately needed. So here's the bottom line. Jakorian Bennett is finally on the road to full health. Jeremy Chinn is unlocking a new dimension in this defense, and together they might just help turn the Raiders' secondary from a liability into a weapon. This Raiders defense is built to shock the NFL in 2025. If you think the Raiders defense peaked last season, think again. What's brewing in Las Vegas right now might be the most unpredictable and dangerous unit we've seen in years. Let's start with Jeremy Chinn. The guy is a walking matchup nightmare. You want him deep? Done. Dropped into the slot? No problem. Blitzing off the edge? He's already there. What makes him even more valuable is that he's already thrived in a similar system. And now he's in a version that might be even better tailored to his strengths. Under Dan Quinn, Chinn was used all over the field. Now he joins a Raiders defense where Patrick Graham is adding his own blend to that same foundational scheme. Think less cookie-cutter cover 3 and more creative disguise. Cover 2 that morphs into cover 3, Tampa 2 that shifts mid-play. And that's not just theoretical. Graham was molded by Bill Belichick, and we all know Belichick's defenses are known for 2 things, confusion and adaptability. Now imagine that mindset injected into a fast, aggressive Raiders roster. It's not just defense anymore. It's deception, it's disruption, it's domination. And this group isn't starting from scratch. Last year's Raiders defense didn't just surprise people. It shut teams down. Even before Josh McDaniels was shown the door, the defense held strong. They finished the season as a top 10 unit, and from the moment Antonio Pierce took over, they were the number 1 defense in football. Yes, number 1. Now some faces have changed, but not the ones that mattered most. Maxx Crosby is still the heart and soul of the line, relentless as ever. Malcolm Koonce has stepped up and proven he's more than just potential. Adam Butler remains a rock on the interior, and with emerging players like Jakorian Bennett returning healthy and versatile playmakers like Jeremy Chinn on deck, this unit isn't rebuilding. It's evolving. Here's what makes this year different. The foundation is there. The scheme is smarter. And the belief? It's real. This defense already knows how to win. Now, it's learning how to dominate. And if the offense even gives them half a chance, don't be shocked if the Raiders are not just winning games, but making noise in the playoffs. The pieces are set. The mindset has changed. And for the first time in a long time, the Raiders' defense might just be the team's biggest weapon.